You saw the title. Today we're going to be tier ranking all the sapphic books I read in 2023. There are 22 of them. I could have gone to 23, but I think that would have been, I wasn't really keeping track, so there's that. Anyways, we're just gonna start. First, let me introduce some of these tier categories. They're pretty self-explanatory, but here up top we have fave, which means obviously I liked it enough to be a new favorite. Wow, as in, you know, maybe it didn't go into the favorite category, but it did have that wow factor. So we like that. Fuzzies, this is a category where I didn't exactly get that wow factor, like it wasn't pushing the boundaries of what was possible in Willowa fiction or just like books in general, but it still gave me the fuzzies. It was a good love story. I really enjoyed the couple. And then down here we have Now that's gonna be like the ones that were kind of disappointing or I didn't really feel like that much attachment to. I just felt generally meh vibes from them. And then here we have the frowny face emoji. That's going to mean it was disappointing. I didn't like it. Not necessarily like the worst thing I've ever read because I don't really think I had any like 1-star reads this year for sapphic books in general. But yeah, just really thought it was lacking and it could do better. So we're going to start with Late to the Party by Kelly Quinlan. This book is the second of hers that I read. I really liked her first book, Her Name in the Sky, when I was in high school. Shout out to Kelly Quinlan. So I had pretty high expectations of this going in. Unfortunately, it did not live up to those expectations. I'm going to put it in eh. Oh yeah, all of these books, by the way, are read in chronological order. I read Late to the Party in like January of 2023, so I don't quite remember the details of the plot, but it's basically a teenager who feels like she's being left out of like parties and stuff, and so she tries to like become the type of girl who would like be in those social situations. She makes friends with this guy who like invites her to a bunch of things, and then she gets integrated into his friend group. Lots of like, you know, teenage coming of age themes. Yeah, I would put this in eh because I just didn't really resonate with the characters as much as I wanted to. Next we have Never Ever Getting Back Together by Sophie Gonzalez. This book is basically like a dating show where this guy's Peach, please leave it alone. It's about a dating show where a guy's exes all compete to have his affection again, and 2 of his exes don't like each other. But you know what they do? They end up liking each other. So this was really fun. I'm gonna put it in fuzzies. Actually, do I want to put it in wow? I don't know. I really liked it. It was a good ride. I think I'm gonna put it in fuzzies because it was just, it was really cute. Like, okay. I just overall felt really positive about it because it had so many of my favorite tropes, like reality shows and like the exes of like a shitty guy getting like, I don't know, banding together and things like that. So it was really cute. I liked it. Next we have another Kelly Quinlan book. Now technically this one wasn't an actual book. It is a Wattpad novel. However, because this author is traditionally published and this book has a Goodreads entry, I'm going to count it because I read it this year. And this is A Different Kind of Us by Kelly Quinlan. This is, unlike her other works that are pretty popular, an adult romance. And it was actually, yeah, I'm going to put it up there. It was a wow for me. So it's about these 2 estranged childhood best friends who end up like working at the same company and how they find their way back to each other. And I thought it was just really thoughtful, and it dealt with themes of like, if I remember correctly, reconciling with like your past selves and like the things that you used to do and the person that you used to be, and then like moving on to a different part of your life. I don't know if I'm explaining this well, but it was just very, it just hit me because I also felt that way, kind of starting a new job, getting out of college and things like that. So yeah, would recommend, and it's free on Wattpad, if you don't mind kind of just scrolling through and like reading it along with a bunch of other people on Wattpad at the same time. So there's that. Next we have Better Than Expected by Haley Cass. Now I think this is a companion novel, sort of sequel, spin-off type like novella to her previous book, When You Least Expect It, I believe. And this is a romance between basically a single mom and her divorce lawyer. Yeah, I think this was cute. I liked the couple from the first book, so I will put this in fuzzies. This book is a continuation basically from the single mom's perspective, because in the first book, we got the perspective of the lawyer and how she fell in love. And then this one is like kind of the other way around, and also sort of an epilogue of sorts as you kind of learn about the other things that they go through after the main book ends. So next we have On a Sunbeam by Tilly Walden. This is a graphic novel. It is about it's been a while. I'm trying to think. What was it about? It's a sci-fi graphic novel set in a future where I think most of the characters are women or non-binary. In space, there's a crew of like people on a ship who are recovering ruins or something like that, exploring ruins, and one of them has like a past. Yeah, and the art style was really great. It was really impactful. I'm gonna put it in wow. Next, we have Her Body and Other Parties, a short story collection by Carmen Maria Machado. Now, Carmen Maria Machado is like one of my favorite authors, so I'm obviously gonna put this in fave. Not only because of like, yeah, she's one of my favorite authors, but also like this book is really good. Like her writing is just so impactful, and not all of the short stories in this collection are sapphic, but a good significant chunk of them are. One of my favorites out of the collection, I would have to say, is the Law and Order one, where it's based off of like all of the Law and Order SVU like episode titles that they take a little supernatural twist. Next we have Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. This book has been popular. It's made its way through the book internet sphere. Yeah, I read it because it was hyped as like a cozy fantasy, and boy, was it a cozy fantasy. It sure did deliver on the premise. This is about an orc who retires from her warrioring days and tries to open a coffee shop in like a fantasy city. And it's really cute. I'm gonna put it in fuzzies because those were the vibes that I got. Just warm and fuzzy. Truly lived up to the synopsis. I just kind of felt the romance part of it was a little lacking, but like it was cute really seeing how the coffee shop was built up and then like how the main character connected with her community. Next we have Back in Your Arms by Monica McCowan. This book is an adult romance about a real estate agent who goes back to her hometown because someone is trying to buy the childhood home of her former best friend, who works at a thrift store. Basically lots of like, childhood friends who had fallen out with each other, but now like there's tension between them. So I'm gonna put this in fuzzies because the main couple was cute. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Shortly after that, I read Cuffing Season, also by Monica McCallan. This is a spin-off of Back in Your Arms. The main couple in Back in Your Arms have like a few cameos in Cuffing Season. This sort of takes place a few years after the first book, where this one's definitely a shorter, like, holiday Christmas novella vibes about like two women in that like tiny town who like have to, yeah, I don't quite remember. Yeah, it was just unmemorable. I'm gonna put it in because I genuinely, it did not impact me in any way. I feel like the fact that I can't like tell you really what happens in this, just I just remember it's about like two women in the town. The couple weren't like that interesting or compelling. They didn't really go through like big character arcs, I feel like. I mean, I think one of them did, but the other one like was kind of like perfect from the get-go, so I didn't really like it. Next we have A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson, I believe. This one is a vampire book about the brides of Dracula, and told from the perspective of one of his brides, and how she navigates that like toxic relationship with him and also the other spouses of Dracula. This was very promising. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to put it in because, yeah, I was just expecting something like really like dark and gothic and like kind of just really deep and like lots of emotions. And I think it did try to do that. Like there was a lot of historical shenanigans happening, and there was a lot of angst, obviously, and like darkness, but like it kind of felt like it was like style over substance, and I didn't really get like that creepiness that I wanted to. Next we have Just Jory by Robin Alexander. I'm gonna straight up just put this in this frowny face category. This one was such a slog to get through. It just, like, the characters are supposed to be like in their late 30s or like early 40s, but they sound like teenagers. Like they sound so childish. I don't really know how they survive to adulthood. It's like, I think two characters take a road trip like from New York to New Orleans, and then they start off as strangers and then become friends and then become lovers. It's just, I think the humor was just too off for me. I wasn't really jiving with the tone of the book at all. Yeah, not my favorite read by far. Next we have Here Comes the Sun by Nicole Dennis Benn. This is a book about it's set in Jamaica in like, I want to say the late 90s maybe. You follow a family of women. There's a mom, the elder daughter who is working at a local resort in Jamaica, and then the younger sister who is a student, I believe. It chronicles how their relationship is like kind of just like, the family is very impacted by like the choices of like each of the women in this family. And it's very thoughtful. It says a lot about the effects of colonialism and the encroachment of like this resort industry onto the local lands. Yeah, it deals with these pretty heavy, dark topics really thoughtfully. And for that, I'm gonna say it was in the wow category for me. Yeah, there were some moments where I think I wasn't as immersed in it, but the language and the writing is very beautiful, and I would highly recommend this. Oh, and it's sapphic because the resort, the sister who works at the resort is in a secret relationship with a woman. So that's the sapphic part about it. Next we have The Fiancé Farce by Alexandria Bellefleur. This is a romance novel that's really heavily employs the fake dating trope, fake engagement trope. Honestly, it just wasn't memorable, and I thought the writing wasn't great either. I'm gonna put it in just didn't really like it. I think the characters grated on me. I honestly don't remember what happened in this book at all. Oh, one of them is rich. She's from a family where, like, to inherit, like, the company or whatever, she has to be married. The other girl is a bookshop owner, and she also, I think, inherited that from, like, someone. And she recognizes her because the rich girl is, like, a cover model or something for one of the books. Next, we have Bitterthorn by Kat Dunn. This is a gothic romance where a girl is sacrificed to the local witch. Very, like, gothic-y, spooky, witchy vibes. I'm gonna put this in eh. I think the premise was interesting. I wanted more gothic, spooky vibes. Like, I think, and I feel like we didn't really get enough time with the two main characters to watch them develop their relationship. Most of it was the main character kind of, like, thinking about everything. We were in her thoughts a lot, but I wanted more interaction between the two main characters, like the girl and the witch, to really see how their relationship developed, and I don't think we got enough of that. Next, we have Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant, which is the pen name of author Shannon McGuire. And this book, I wanted to like it so much. It's about killer mermaids. Yeah, it's about if mermaids were real, but, like, the scary kind, like the siren, like those, like, mockumentaries where you find those, like, weird, like, skeletal monkey fish hybrids, like if they were like that instead of, like, the pretty ones. I really wanted to like it, but it's gonna have to go in Like, I just don't think it told an impactful story. I think my main issue was that it had too many POVs. Like, we would be switching POVs, like, not even every chapter, but, like, in the middle of chapters too. And I feel like it could really have, like, that really detracted from the story because there just wasn't enough, like, focus and, like, time within each character to, like, really build the tension. And we just, like, knew too much about the mermaids too soon. Like, I want more suspense. I want this to feel like a thriller. I don't want to, like, know about the mermaids, like, if they're real, or, like, what exactly is the extent of their monstrosity, like, immediately. Like, give us some more time to really be scared. Yeah, I just didn't really feel like it was effective. Yeah, I just really wanted more. I really was not, like, convinced by the tone or, like, the suspense building part aspect of the story. Yeah, it was really sad that I didn't like it too. Next, we have Delilah Green Doesn't Care by Ashley Herring Blake. I know this one is pretty popular in the Woollawah sapphic book sphere. I think it was cute. It's about, like, another one of those, like, small town, like, someone from your past sort of romances where, like, someone from the big city returns home to her small town. This time it's about the title character, Delilah Green, is, like, a photographer who escaped from her small town of Oregon, but now she has to be called back to photograph her stepsister's wedding. And then the other love interest is one of her stepsister's best friends, who is also going through some stuff of her own. And it's cute. It's a good romance novel, yeah. Like, I had few complaints. It did its job. Next we have Gods of Want by K. Ming Chang. This is another short story collection. I would say this definitely falls more into, like, the lit fic category. It's very hard to describe. It draws a lot from Taiwanese culture, especially Taiwanese indigenous culture, and they're very surreal and dreamlike, and they have a lot of visceral language. And there's a lot of the characters in the story and the experiences reflected in the stories are sort of analogous with queer experiences, and a lot of the characters, also the protagonists of the stories, are explicitly queer women. And I wasn't sure how to feel about this. Like, stylistically, it was very vibrant. There were a lot of like linguistic, stylistic choices that this author made, and it was sometimes hard to follow, not going to lie. And at times I did feel like the stories did like bleed together in a way that made it hard to really differentiate from each other and feel that like each one had a unique identity. And some parts of it were like really violent and kind of gross. There's some pretty like dark and horrific imagery. But overall, I would say, yeah, I don't want to put it like I don't think it fits like anywhere here though. So I'm gonna put it in WoW because I think it's, even though I don't think I liked it, I feel that it's an important book and it was well written in a sort of experimental way, and I think it's worth reading. Moving on, we have Cleat Cute by Merrill Wilsner. Okay, so a little bit of context. This year, in 2023, I got really into women's soccer. It started with the U.S. women's national team, and then it went on to the NWSL, the National Women's Soccer League. So this book, it's basically the National Women's Soccer League, the NWSL, but fictionalized. And honestly, it was really cute. I'm gonna put it in fuzzies. I really enjoyed the romance. It's sort of like a, not really rivals, but almost like it's marketed as a rivals to lovers romance. And I really enjoyed the relationship. I really enjoyed the soccer aspects of it too, because I read this on the championship day of the NWSL. So tensions were high for me, had a lot of emotions, and my favorite team did win, so go Bats. After that, we have On the Same Page by Haley Cass, who also wrote the Better Than Expected. It's about, I think, these two girls who met in college, who have been friends since, and now they're grown up. One of them is like an influencer, and the other one works as a news anchor. No, the other one works as a news producer. And then they have like a sort of misunderstanding. There's like holiday vibes to it. It's set sort of like in the winter time leading up to the holidays. Most of the book takes place in like present time, when these characters are in their early 30s, but like it's interspersed with these flashbacks of like what their time was like in college, and those are told in the point of view of like the influencer best friend who, like, you know, has a sort of different like upbringing than like her eventual love interest. So I'm gonna put this in fuzzies. I really liked the main couple, particularly the influencer best friend. She's just very good. Like, she definitely had like a mean girls to like nice person arc going on, and it's just like a very charming person also. Like, I really like felt like there were things to love about her. Yeah, I thought it was good. Okay, next, towards the end of 2023, I read Forget Me Not by Allison Derrick. This is a YA romance, sort of, about like these two girls living in rural Pennsylvania who are in a secret relationship. And then one of them falls, knocks her head, gets amnesia, and forgets her entire romance with the other girl and thinks she's like straight and like, you know, totally like not hiding these big things from her family and her friends. So I knew it was gonna be angsty, and it was, but it's also cute. I am gonna put it in fuzzies because like the relationship, it was cute, but I think I mainly really liked the girl who gets amnesia. She like, her friends, like, I don't know how much of it would be a spoiler. I just really liked the friends she made along the way, is what I'll say. Now, next, these are a little bit out of order because I think I read this next book in the summer, but I can't remember when. This is My Solo Exchange Diary by Nagata Kabi. This is the sequel to her previous like autobiographical manga, My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness. This book sort of acts like a memoir, diary-ish type manga where the author reflects upon like her own isolation and depression and like how her parents like don't really understand where she's coming from, all the pressures she feels as like an adult living in Japan. I thought it hit really hard. I'm gonna put it in wow. Yeah, it made me really sad, but also made me hopeful that like, maybe she'll find like some more joy in her life. Definitely very contemplative and like just very honest. Finally, this is a webcomic, and I put it last because it was sort of ongoing and then it finished this year, I believe. I read it in Chinese. It's called Straight Girl Trap by 42 Degrees Celsius Latte and Ice-Free Herbal Jelly are the authors of this sapphic webcomic. You can read it on Bilibili Comics, which I did, but I read the Chinese version. I think the English translated version isn't like completely finished yet, but you'll probably be able to like read a good chunk of it. Yeah, this was about an office worker who has a really, really big crush on her boss and how they get really close to each other, and she starts to see that her boss actually is really dorky and really kind and just like a soft like marshmallow of a human being. I'm gonna put this in fave because it was like the way my emotions like roller coastered reading this webcomic. It certainly gave me fuzzies, like for sure, but like the intensity was just so large. Like it wasn't even for the main couple. I'm gonna be honest. It was for the side pairing. And I was just like, the main couple, like you kind of like, there's an inevitability, they're gonna get together. But the side couple was where it was at. Like when I tell you I was squealing, I was legitimately squealing in bed reading this comic. It just hit me that hard. Yeah, if you can get a chance and read it, like I would really recommend it. It's definitely one of my like hidden gem reads, I think. Just gonna give that as a recommendation. So yeah, these were my all the 2023 sapphic books, comics, manga that I read, ranked in a tier. If you have any places where you disagree with me, let me know. I'd be happy to discuss. Let me know. Yeah.